I found the most underrated amp sims in the world, and in this video, I'll be going over all these incredibly sick finds that have flown under the radar that will carve your amp sim appetite. And one especially surprising find that replaced one of my past go-tos when creating guitar tones that should be in everyone's guitar tone arsenal. Starting with an amp that is from a new promising amp sim company that takes a stab at recreating an in-the-box replication of an amp from one of the most prolific guitar players of all time in the metal world. August Rose Audio's first entry into the amp sim world is the King, which is a digital recreation of the Marshall JCM 800 Kerry King signature amp. But don't let the King's unassuming facade fool you. This beast is tricked out with some serious firepower. You've got the Howler, which is an overdrive pedal with the mix control, the Photon Overdrive, which is based off the modded Fortin TS 808 overdrive. Then there's the Tweaker, which is an EQ pedal. These all head into the amp. The Assault Intensity is an EQ saturation mod that is before the preamp and power amp sections. Then there's a 9-band graphic EQ after the amp section for further tweaking. The cabinet section has 15 custom IRs from August Rose Audio's Cab of Chaos pack, plus 4 signature IRs from Slate Digital. You have everything you need to give your guitars a ripping metal tone that will melt faces. Next, a company that has been around for some time, but doesn't get mentioned much in amp sim circles. Despite being behind some of the best in-the-box one-to-one comparative amps, it's such a shame. Mercurial have arguably the best Marshall JCM collections within their plugin Spark. But what they've released in the past year with Ampbox is pretty incredible. It's a suite that hosts most of their plugins, which makes things so much easier when testing out different amps when tone building. And the GUI makes this a breeze so you can get around quickly. You have your virtual pedal board, which will display the pedals at the top of the screen. Then you have the cabinet section, as well as a chorus, delay, and reverb effects. And all these can stay on screen with the amp controls. See what I mean?
Come on, man! That's too easy!
Next on this list is a newer company that, along with drum samplers, has a line of guitar amp sims including 2 signature series amps, one with guitar legend Jason Richardson and the other from Mike Stringer from the Grammy-nominated band Spiritbox. Having the heavier side of rock and metal covered with their signature series amp sims, Mixwave have opened the doors for in-the-box guitar players to use more boutique-style amplifiers that haven't been emulated until now. I mean, how many 5150s do we really need? All of them. In all the amp sims, the effects are movable. On the input and output stage of each Mixwave amp sim, they've included a 4-band EQ, 2 filters, and a limiter compressor with wet-dry controls. The cap section gives an option of having up to 4 different impulse responses, with each having control over the polarity flip, axis, distance, angle, and delay offset. But there are 2 easy-to-miss options part of the cabinet section that are godsends. The focus button removes harsh frequencies in the upper mids, and the level match automatically, level matches all the microphones being used. Why this has never existed in any other amp sim until now, who knows. And you've got a good old-fashioned output limiter just to get things a little tappy-tappy.
Tap it in. Just tap it in. Give it a little tap.
So for a minute, imagine owning a PB block letter, a Mesa Boogie triple rectifier Rev G, or the infamous Mark V, or the good old reliable dual rectifier. Maybe the Dover DA50. Cause with a list like this, why the f not? ML SamLab, despite having an amazingly awesome catalog of amp sims, is a company not a lot of engineering friends of mine have heard about. They're all great sounding amp sims, and each comes decked out with a great range of pedals, a 3D cabinet section, and if you're a guitar player that is strapped for cash, ML SamLab offers 2 free amp sims, the Amped Roots and the Amped Stevie T. Plus, if you need a drum sampler, their free modular drum sampler, ML Drums, is pretty sick. But this next amp sim is very different. The Neural Amp Modeler is a free-to-use open platform plugin backed by a community that graciously gives out all their tones. But what makes this entire ecosystem really incredible is companies like Atomic, who've created a guitar suite type plugin called Tonocracy, which takes advantage of the Neural Amp Modeler technology and takes it even further as a free open source offering. All of Tonocracy's storage is done via the cloud system hosted on their GPU servers. This way you don't have the headache of exporting and importing saved amp sim profiles. Tonocracy also comes with its own capturing software on board. It's also got some really great profiles ready to go out the box, with signal routing options as well and different effects. Plus, you remember from earlier ML SamLabs? Well, they have collaborated with the Atomic team to offer matched IRs for the stock presets that come with Tonocracy. I still can't get over how a lot of this is all accessible out of the gate free of charge. But the fun doesn't end there, because what you get with this next amp sim is the first true boutique digital amp. because this amp sim has a unique feature which makes it a love letter to decades of heavy guitar tone distortion.
I have seen sunsets and sunrises, but nothing of your beautiful face.
That'll get any riff sounding brutally pissed off, just like the Hulk having to take the stairs. 1111 comes with 13 different distortion voicings and presets that give you the molding power to create any tone you want at the click of your mouse. There's even impedance options to help sculpt your signal and a mod switch. The resonance control for both cabs is a nice touch and can get you even closer to how a cabinet can respond in a real room. But there's one feature that really helps this digital boutique amp stand out, which is a feature low string guitar lovers will appreciate. Because one of the toughest parts of dialing in an amp sound on lower register guitars is the low notes can get lost and sluggish. Auto Audio has fixed this problem with adding descending harmonics, which helps thicken guitars in the lower registers to create more pronounced note definition instead of that disgusting sludge when other amps can't quite create tight enough harmonics in those registers. But before I go into the next amp sim, I'm gonna take a second to mention a plugin I recently discovered that is absolutely genius and perfectly pairs with each amp sim plugin on this list. For the longest time I used Libra from STL Tones, but since I went Apple Silicon, Libra has been, well, not the friendliest IR loader. 3-Body Technology, which is the same team behind the Kirchhoff EQ, heard that IR loaders for guitar cabinets couldn't go any further in what they offer and said, hold my beer. Went into a cave and developed a guitar playing cyborg. Okay, I'm kidding. But what they came out with was an impulse response loader called Cabinetron, which includes up to 8 spaces to load IRs via the menu select or the time-saving drag and drop option. Each IR instance has a huge assortment of options, including auto phase alignment between other IRs, and a bunch of other controls that really make this the first in its class, but it doesn't end there. They've included a virtual microphone to get the perfect unique blend of all your favorite IRs, and if you thought that was it, the team at 3-Body said, bet, and included a version of the Kirchhoff EQ on board, tone shaping, a doubler, and some more interesting features.
I gotta get me one of those.
So one of the best and worst parts of being a guitar player is the gear. It can get out of control real fast with all the pedals and cabling, leaving you with the pedal board bigger than Neil Peart's drum set. And it can seem kinda counterintuitive to minimize your guitar rig to like an Axe FX or a Line 6 Helix when the cost is buku bucks, which is the exact problem this next amp sim was designed to solve. The McRocklin Suite from Polychrome DSP is the love child of Thomas McRocklin and Luca Capozzi. The goal of this plugin was to take Thomas's insanely huge and complex guitar setup and make something that not only could he use in the box, but take on tour and control via a laptop and a MIDI foot controller. The McRocklin Suite has 4 different amp sections with oversampling: acoustic and clean, edge, which is your more overdriven sound, and gain, which is going to be more for the riffers like me. Unlike other amp sims, one of the things that is a pro and a con of this amp sim is that the clean, edge, and gain amps each have 5 matched cabinets. I love that the Polychrome DSP team also included resonance, air, low cut, and high cut controls to really dial in the cabinet if you decide to use the preset cabinets. But you can still bypass the cabinet section and use your own IR loader. Something like Cabinetron maybe.
Oh, that was subtle.
You also get 4 overdrive and distortion pedal options, 2 types of EQ, and a delay and reverb section that include ducking, plus a really great sounding phaser. Now there are a few features about McRocklin Suite that I really love, and for me set it apart from other plugins in its class. The heat presser is a godsend. It has a compressor and a warmth saturation circuit, and you can change the order. A boost control that adjusts the overall signal gain pre-compression, and a level control that adjusts the overall signal gain post-compression. The tight gives you a high pass at about 120 Hz and a low pass at 3.7K, and the bright for a 1.7K boost. Now earlier I mentioned the goal was to be able to use the McRocklin Suite as part of a live setup via MIDI control. And on many of the parameters, simply right-clicking and selecting MIDI Learn and moving or selecting the button on the MIDI controller will assign the parameter, and you're ready to hit the stage or speed up the recording process. All these amp sims are freaking great, but if you're wanting to take your guitar tone crafting to the next level, you'll want to check out Plugin Alley's Guitar Tone Blueprint ebook, which includes best practices for getting world-class tones out the gate, know which types of strings are best paired for whatever you're recording with the String Gauge Atlas, get the best tone out of your performance by picking from a list of tried, tested, and proven guitar picks, as well as a list of the best amp sims for whatever genre of music you're recording, producing, or mixing with the Amp Sim Atlas, plus so much more. And once you've picked your new favorite amp sim and gotten yourself a copy of the Guitar Tone Blueprint ebook, you're going to want to see what tricks pro mixers use to get those epic wall of guitar mixes we all love. Which is why you'll want to watch this video right here for some genius guitar mix tricks you'll want to steal for yourself.